Hello, it's me, Zelda Maniac 1994, with I guess the second Zelda discussions video. You know that thing that I did over a year ago as of recording this that I did with Block 900 and Marissa Blackwing. Yeah, we're doing this again. It's just me. And I don't know. I want to just talk for a bit. The current day of recording this is March 17th of the year 2020. Animal Crossing New Horizons releases tomorrow. And I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to go play that and just take time off. You know, it's funny about how long it's been since I last recorded anything. The last thing I did was Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. And I'm looking right now. That was roughly 1 month ago. Let me just check this here. So that was January 19th. Oh, it was almost 2 months ago that I last recorded / uploaded anything on this channel. Why? What's been going on? What's happening? Well, I guess to put it bluntly, I've been feeling a lack of motivation to do anything outside of work. Whenever I get home from work, I'm tired, and on top of that, I don't feel like doing anything productive. I will sit around, either listening to something on YouTube or just watching something on YouTube. Every now and then, if I'm feeling slightly motivated, I will try to work on some deck builds for Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's rare. On rare occasion, I will just play some video games for myself. Very recently, I started playing A Hat in Time on the Switch. Very amazing game, by the way. Very cute, fun. Controls are pretty good. It's a very fun game. And playing it for myself, by myself, without having the microphone on or having game footage being recorded. A little bit of me wanted to record it, but for the majority of the rest of the part that didn't, think about that, I just really didn't want to. I originally started this channel so I could have proof that I beat Ocarina of Time on a 3 Hearts Minimalist Run challenge, which, if we're being, really simple on the naming, it's just the Minimalist Challenge, or a Minimalist Run, because 3 Hearts is implied in that. Basically, lowest amount of hearts possible, lowest amount of times, That's originally why I started this channel, so I'd have video proof of me doing that. And I think in the first episode that I recorded for that, which was, I don't know how long it's been now, it's been quite a few years as of recording this, but I believe in that first episode, I mentioned that I would like to do a Twilight Princess True Pain run, I guess, where, you're running the lowest amount of hearts. It's a minimalist challenge, but you're playing on the hero mode version of Twilight Princess HD, as well as using the Ganondorf amiibo, so you'd be taking quadruple times damage on top of already having not really very much to work with. And I didn't really get started on that project till quite a bit after I started the Ocarina of Time challenge. And I mean, like, I barely did anything with that anyway. Cut to about a year and a half later or so, like when I last had my dry spell of no Twilight Princess anything, I decided to come back to it and keep working on the challenge run. And then it happened. I recorded footage for Twilight Princess HD True Pain Run, and I lost it. I don't know what happened to it. I could have sworn I pressed the record button to capture footage and capture audio, and apparently it didn't happen because the file for that recording is gone. Or rather, it's just nowhere to be seen. And after that happened, when I'd realized that the file was missing, it hit me pretty hard. Because finally getting back to recording something I was passionate about, something I was having fun with, despite it being really aggravating and challenging, it hurt. And so I came to a crossroads. Either I could just keep going with the challenge and keep recording, and then maybe eventually go back and record that one lost episode, or the definitely more difficult challenge is to go back now and redo everything up until that point and not record any further until I get the lost episode recorded, and then I can record a new episode after that point. I thought about it for a while, and I had to come to a decision within like a day of itself, because I didn't want to waste too much time just sitting on it without any kind of reason as to why that upload series stopped. So I thought about it pretty long and hard for the time I'd given myself. And I decided that I would just halt the recording of that series indefinitely. Basically, as long as it takes for me to get back and record the missing episode. And so that night, the night of me putting an update for the series, I sat down, I looked at my Wii U game tablet, and I did nothing. Nothing happened. I didn't feel it. I couldn't get started. I just couldn't. Because that amount of progress I made with the difficulties that I placed upon myself were so great mentally that I couldn't just restart. And if I were doing this just for fun, like, I'm doing this challenge run for fun, like, haha, like, look at this, I'm doing a hard run. Well, if that were the case, I'd just keep recording and keep recording the next episodes. Like, well, sorry, the footage is missing, but, things happen. But no, that's not how this goes for me. I can't just keep going after missing something so vital. There are only 2 occasions that I can remember, and one might be false, but there are only 2 occasions I can remember where I had technically skipped some gameplay just to keep going. The first one, I believe, was when is in the Minimalist Challenge for Ocarina of Time. Near the very end in Ganon's castle, in the fire segment, there's a place where you have to collect silver rupees in order to keep going to the next room. I died so many times there because it was just, I don't know, for some reason I was having a hard time with the GameCube controller. And I don't know, I don't know. I don't want, like, I'm not placing blame on the controller or anything. It's just like me plus that was equaling me failing over and over and over. So I decided to do it on my own time because that wasn't really the part of the challenge that I needed to record because it was basic dungeon maneuvering and I just wasn't hitting it. So that's whatever. I just, I gave it several attempts on screen, did off screen, then started recording immediately after I collected the rupees and I moved on. That's easy. That's not really a problem. Because that can be implied that I got him, and that has nothing to do with the implications of having, minimal hearts and minimal gear. It's whatever. The second time that I did this, where I had to basically record after an event, was in Master Quest for Ocarina of Time. In the Spirit Temple, there's a certain puzzle involved in there that I still to this point don't really understand how it functions. Basically, in order to get a chest, I believe, with a small key, you must manipulate time blocks with the Song of Time in a certain way to where the chest is on top of one of them. And there's 2 time blocks you're having to maneuver. And standing at a certain point near these time blocks and playing the Song of Time will move them in different ways. And like I said, to this point, I'm not really sure how that puzzle functions. Because eventually, I got to work. I didn't get to work on screen. But that's okay, I guess. What the point I'm trying to get at is, the 2 times I technically skipped over something, there was something very small. And, I mean, it's going to be redundancy when I say this here, but, it wasn't very big. Duh, because it was small. But it wasn't very big. It wasn't a very big part of the dungeon or of the challenge. So, in this point, it didn't matter too much if I just kept going. Not in my opinion. But, for Twilight Princess HD, it's something much more major. I was finally recording at 30-plus minute intervals, I believe. And I went through like half of the Lake Bed Temple. Half of it. And half of it's missing. The end half. If it were one small section, I'd probably just overlook it. But because I'm not recording like 10-minute intervals or anything, I'm recording much longer. It's just hard to justify keep going when I don't have anything to prove that I got to that point. The only thing that would prove that I had surpassed that area is that I still have the minimal amount of hearts, I still have the minimal amount of gear that I could possibly have after the incident. But there's a lot of stuff that was just missing. And so all that to say that when I finally, of that night again, we're back here again, of that night of me uploading the update, and, I looked at my gamepad, and I was like, okay, let's do this, and nothing happened. Even now, I still just can't do it. As much as I may want to, I don't have the will to do it. So, I decided to take a break, just stop with that entirely, and record something else. I want to do something fun, something that I tried to do around the time Breath of the Wild came out. Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. It was a series I did on the 64 that I never finished. So I decided to do the Again series, where I replay the game and I do it again. And this time I finished it. I record on the Wii, looks a little better, sounds a little better. I finished it, and that's the biggest part right there. I felt more motivated to do it. I had more motivation. You could tell in my voice in that series than in the original Kirby 64 series. And so that was cool. And I finished it. And the last episode of that game was it. That's effectively when my willpower died. After that point, I couldn't get the motivation just to turn on a game console and try and work on some videos for fun. Because if I did that, the way I was feeling, it wouldn't be fun. It'd be very forced. And that's unacceptable. My channel's here. I have things up for fun. Like most every other series that isn't the challenge runs of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess have been for fun. With maybe the exception of Month of Majora, which I finished up, I believe that was 2019. I can't quite remember, but I believe it was 2019 when I finally finished that up. And that in and of itself was a challenge because I found myself disliking the game the more that I played it. At first, I was really excited to start it. The very first episode, I was so giddy with excitement. I mean, that's like one of my longest videos. It's like friggin' 40 minutes long or something like that. Maybe longer. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And I was like, hey, instead of just making this like a one-off deal, I can make this into something of a series. And so the very next year, I started the Month of Majora. Loosely based on Zelda Month that Peanut Butter Gamer started. Basically turning October into Majora. I mean, that's the whole idea of it. Because Majora's Mask is a very spoopy game. And it's pretty good for a Halloween setting. It's kind of cliched at this point, though. But I still like the idea of it. And so, I continued doing the Month of Majora. But at a certain point, I was forcing it. I didn't have fun with it anymore. I believe it was technically year 3 of Month of Majora. Because, I retroactively just made the first episode of Majora's Mask into year 0/year 1. It's the number 0 episode of Month of Majora. Because it's unofficial, but it's still in the Month of Majora playlist and everything. Because it's all connected. So, technically the second year of starting Month of Majora, but the third year of it being a thing where I did 2 dungeons in one playthrough, or one sitting, and I couldn't, I think Snow Peak? No, not Snow Peak, I can't remember. Wow, that's embarrassing. I can't remember necessarily. Snow Peak Temple. Snowhead Temple. I think it's Snowhead. Yeah, Snowhead Temple. If I'm wrong, then whatever. Snowhead Temple. Basically, the second temple of the game, the one that's located in Goron Village, or near Goron Village. I hated it. The dungeon design is garbage. I couldn't stand it. And I was like, I really don't want to keep going. But I did. Hated almost every minute of it. Because the entire dungeon is frustrating and stupid. The boss is okay. That's about all I can say for it. And after I finished it up, or rather, while I was trying to complete it, I was just getting really tired of it. I think at that point, Majora's Mask had crashed on me about 2 times or so. Maybe it was just once, but I remember the game crashing on me at least twice throughout the 4 years that I played Majora's Mask. Or technically 3, however you want to count it. Whatever. Throughout the entirety of playing Majora's Mask, I believe it crashed on me twice. And I couldn't handle it anymore. Majora's Mask is so aged. I mean, so is Ocarina of Time. They both have their problems. But I feel like Majora's Mask suffers a lot more than Ocarina of Time does. And I was starting to feel the wear and tear of at this point, nearly 20-year-old game that was made in roughly a year. I couldn't keep going. But I just kept going anyway, because out of obligation, I had to finish it up. And on the final year that I would sit down to play Majora's Mask, and in my mind, hopefully finish it up, I was leaning towards not doing it. Because I was tired of doing something that I didn't want to do. It's not my job. It's something that I'm doing as a hobby, for fun. Why am I forcing myself to do something that I don't have fun doing? Or that I don't want to do at all? Why would I do that? And I believe I posted a video, kind of an update video, about how the month Majora was, for at least that year, canceled, if not permanently canceled, because of my frustrations with the game and the layout of how the game worked. And to give some background information on how I was recording the month Majora episodes, around, probably about half a month before October, I'd realize, oh, wait, I have to get Month Majora recorded. So I would sit down, and this is maybe 10 days before October was coming around or so. I finally sit down, and I record just a bunch of Majora's Mask episodes, all in a row. So I'd basically cram, which this is something that I've been doing since, I want to say maybe middle school. That was so long ago. But I did it all the way up through high school even. I was just I was really good at procrastinating, let me tell you. But when it finally came down to it and I had to get it done, I'd get it done. That's just how I operate, apparently. And it can be flawed, but it works. And so, like I said, cutting back to the final month of Majora, where I had said that I wasn't going to record it anymore because I wasn't having fun with it. I was done with it. I was thinking a lot. And I sat here in my chair, and I kept thinking, man, isn't it weird though that I'm not going to be completing this? It just feels unfinished. But at least I'm, happy because I'm not playing it. But there was something in the back of my head that was you have to finish it though. And literally, I believe 2 or 3 days before October 1st, I sat down in this chair, I looked at my TV, and I got up, and I turned on the GameCube. I turned on my Elgato HD capture card. I turned on my TV. I grabbed my GameCube controller, and I crammed 31 episodes worth of footage in 1 or 2 nights. I couldn't let it go. Because despite the fact that I wasn't really having fun with it at the time, it was more a fact of it's completely unfinished. It just doesn't feel right. I had to finish it. I was so close. One more temple. That's all I had to do. I mean, barring Ikana Castle itself, which is technically before the final temple, and then the moon, which comes after the final temple. So it's really 3 dungeons, but technically it was 1 temple. That's it. That's all I had to do. I wasn't going for completion. I wasn't going for a minimalist challenge. I wasn't going for all mass. Well, actually I was. That's the only thing. So I wasn't going for completion, was going for all minimal hearts, nothing like that. It was one of the most casual runs I think I've ever done in any Zelda game. And I beat it. And despite all the flaws that I have had and still have with it, I'm glad I finished it. I wish it was a better game. It's a lot of people's favorite Zelda game now, because there's been a lot of time to think back on it and to, like, critically analyze how the game is. And it has such an amazing story. The music is fantastic. The setting is great. The tone is amazing. But the gameplay itself is not good, and the dungeon design, for the most part, is horrible. Can't stand it. Like, the only temple I can actually remember liking is, what is it called? Great Bay Temple. It's essentially the water temple from Majora's Mask. I liked it. I liked the water temple because the other 3 just aren't good. Stone Tower Temple, it's legendary, but it's legendary in the fact that a lot of people tend to think of it as being, oh, it's such a good temple, because they remember the music and they have nostalgia for it, and they have blurry memories of it. They think back and they remember good times with the temple, but they don't remember how it functioned and how it is a mess. But I'm not talking to this microphone to analyze Majora's Mask temple dungeon design. That's temple/dungeon design. There have been plenty of other YouTubers who have already done that and who can do a much better job of it than I ever could, of explaining the temple layouts. Anyways, so where am I going with all this? Well, that's a great question, because I don't know, really. This is basically the one time I felt like getting the microphone ready and wanting to talk into it. I just want to talk. I just want to explain what's going on. And just talk about things in the past. So yeah, Twilight Princess HD, True Pain Mode. I don't know how long it's going to be before I even come close to getting back to where I was. Excuse me. To getting back to where I was. And I wanted to record Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team Deluxe, but that still hasn't happened because I just don't have motivation to get up and do anything. And it sucks. It really does. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. I want to play Zelda, but I don't. I want to play the Wind Waker HD Minimalist Run, but I haven't. And I won't, probably, if I just keep feeling this way all the time. my one chance to try and come back is on the 20th, when Animal Crossing comes out. I'll have a vacation going for about 10 days or so. And the first couple, maybe 3 to 5 days, so the first 5 days or so, I'll probably just be completely invested in Animal Crossing. But the next 5, I am going to try really hard to record more stuff for y'all. Those who are watching my content, whether it be one person or thousands of people, doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I originally started this channel to have proof that I can do these challenge runs, but my channel evolved over time in its concept, because now I want to make content that makes people happy, that makes people smile, makes them have a good time, and escape from feeling like how I do. Unmotivated, bored, tired, exhausted, frustrated. I want to give that escape, and I just can't right now. So I want to do better. And I'll have time to do that soon. I don't know. It's complicated. Anyways, can't really think of too much else to say right now. So, I guess I'll end this episode of Zelda Discussions. It's not an hour, but it's still podcast style. So hey, I mean, at least you can just listen to it in the background if you want. Anyways, this has been Zelda Maniac 1994, and thank you for listening.